Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Dan Wickline Show. I am your host, Charles Dodgson. And anybody see my looking glass? There's some blonde chick around here running around with it, and I have not been able to find it ever since. I hate when that happens. How's everybody doing this afternoon? We are going to have an interesting, fun show today. No, I didn't say Charles in charge of your days or your nights. I'm sorry, but no. Charles Dodgson, completely different. And if you know the connection to our guest, who I'm hoping will be on shortly, we are going to be visiting with an old friend of mine and one of the original writers coming out of Zenescope, Raven Gregory, who is now on. So let's bring him on when he is. There we go. Mr. Gregory, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. So, dude, I've always seen like porn stars smoking weed on camera, and I've been like, how come no comic book writers do that shit? So I decided to be the fucking first.
All right.
Medicinal. I have a prescription for it.
Did you send any for me?
Is it? Okay, now I know why comic stars don't smoke during interviews. It all makes sense now.
It does.
By the way, I just want you to know that I'm sweating right now because I turned off my fan in the background because much like porn, I didn't want the fan to interfere with the audio.
Well, that's appreciated.
So if I start to glisten, that's why. How you been, man?
I've been good, bud. How about you?
Dude, I'm fucking happy, man. For the first time in a very long time, I'm actually fucking happy. It's really crazy. It's a weird place to be.
Yeah.
But seeing you makes me even happier. You look fucking great, man. What have you been up to?
Just surviving the pandemic and starting this show, you know?
Yeah, by the way, congratulations on surviving Corona.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yeah, man, hey, dude, it almost got me. I was out for a month, dude. That shit was the worst.
Well, at least you made it, man. A lot of people didn't.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
This is so cool, man. Like, people don't even know how far back we go. Like, we go back way fucking back. Like, people don't know, but I am your biggest fan when it comes to Sinbad. Like, that book was so fucking perfect. The characters, the arcs. You were the first writer I ever met who had everything mapped out. We didn't get to tell the whole fucking thing, but you were like, this is the next step. This is the next step. This is the next character arc. And it was just so fucking meticulous, man. I really enjoyed that. Potts is still one of my favorite characters ever created. I'm so glad you let me use him for a second.
No, Potts was a lot of fun. And yeah, I planned out like 24 issues of that series.
Oh, yeah.
Had it all mapped out, ready to go. And even the different foreign languages, the unique languages, I was keeping lexicons for them. Every time I used a new word, kept track of it. So, it would never be, if I needed to use it again, I had it. That type of stuff. I don't think I put in half the detail nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the really hard thing about being a passionate writer who invests themselves in a story is that if the readership isn't there for whatever particular reason, it goes to waste. And you even though it makes the story that much better, you feel like it went to waste because you never got to tell the rest of the story. So totally understandable, man. I don't do that shit at all. I'm like, ta! When I was writing Wonderland, I wrote that whole entire shit by the seat of my pants. I did not know what was coming next. I did not know where she was going with the story. She just kind of took over and.
But there's a certain amount of freedom to that too, that you let the character be the character, And I mean, you still try to put some buffers on it, but you kind of let the character go where they're going to go, and it feels like a more natural story when you do it that way.
Yeah, it feels much more organic. It's funny that you say that because David Wold just became the new executive editor editor-in-chief over at Zenescope.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about different writing advice I've gotten over the years that's really helped me. And I specifically remember I was doing a gig for Space Dog, and David was over there, and I wanted to write by the seat of my pants, like I normally had. And he was like, well, no, you have to outline and map it all out. And he gave me this really good piece of advice. He said, so if you were going on a trip somewhere, you'd want to have a roadmap, right? Because otherwise you'd get lost. You wouldn't know where you were going. So I took a lot of that to heart. But at the same time, I also am like, sometimes it's good to get lost. Sometimes the adventure is in getting lost. You never know what you're going to experience if you just stay on the set path and you go straight ahead. But the irony is, now that David's over at Zenescope, I mentioned that to him, and he's like, no, I like to write more organic and let the characters tell the story. I'm like, motherfucker, what the shit? It was a cool little story.
I found that out when I started doing prose, that I don't plot out a whole book. I'll plot out a third. I'll know where I want to get to, but what I'll do is I'll plot out the first part, and then I'll start writing it, let the characters go where they're going to go. And then when I get to the end of that first third, I kind of sit down and go, okay, where am I at? Where do I want to go? And I start trying to move them back. I do that for the second third. Again, let them go where they're going to go until eventually I guide them back to the ending I wanted.
Right.
But what happens in the middle and stuff, that's all natural. That's just what the characters are going to do. Yeah, and I had that happen a couple times in my novel. I had a main character that I killed off like within the first 5 chapters because it wasn't working. I threw in the Russian mob one day, and it turned out to make the entire book better. But it was just a whim, Those are kind of things that just happen.
Now, writing prose, do you feel like it adds to your comic work? Like I've noticed recently, I started doing a little bit of prose on a side story, and then I started writing a script, and like this light bulb went off above my head of what you could do with a comic book script. Like you can write. Not I've written to the artist before. Mm-hmm. I've written the descriptive, what's happening. I've written the feel, but I've never written a panel like you see in a novel. And there was something about that. I was like, whoa, this is how, did I just evolve as a writer? This is how I should have been writing for years, because it makes reading it enjoyable.
Yeah. But you got to keep in mind some of those like Alan Moore scripts when Alan Moore turns in a script, they're like this big. You know, because he's writing, there's as much detail in prose that we never see, but it informs the artist, who then can paint a better picture. So, yeah, I think writing prose has helped a lot because it allows me to convey what I want better to the artist.
Speaking of Alan Moore, I just want to give a shout out right now to Pat Shan. Pat Shan, 2 years ago, wrote a script off of Alan Moore's outline. And I'm like, you lucky motherfucker. How the fuck you pull that shit off? I'm like, whoa. I like, as a writer, and it's taken years to get to this point, I don't ride anybody's dick anymore. Like, I could be a fan, but I'm never like in awe of any writer, except like maybe Gaiman, or Tom Taylor does it every once in a while. But all that like, oh my God, Bendis is the best type shit, all that shit is gone. But for the first time ever, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm a fucking fan, dude. You pulled off, you got to work with the king. Never got to talk to him, never had any contact with him, but he still worked on his outline. I'm like, Jesus, wow, dude, you did it. So Pat Chan, if you're out there listening, fuck you. I love you, Hobbit. He's a beautiful Hobbit. He's my favorite Hobbit. In Lord of the Rings, when he was helping Frodo across that fucking, oh man, that was beautiful.
His whole monologue about potatoes. Yeah. 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 Hearing Pat do the original monologue, that's just the way to go, man.
Yeah, but he was even better in Willow. I think Willow is where he really shined.
Yeah, I could see that. He had the hair longer, but yeah.
Wasn't he in that show with Barney Fife?
Mayberry?
Yeah, Mayberry. Wasn't he the little kid that was fishing with his dad?
Opie, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there you go. That's him. Yeah, dude. I loved you as Opie, Pat. Shout out. I'm glad to see you grew some since then. All right, I'm done making fun of Pat.
Oh, is anybody ever really done?
No, we're never in. Dude, and I think a lot of people don't know, though, about the comic industry. Like, I will never stop busting your balls because you were on a fucking porn set. Dude, that's the coolest shit in the world. Dude, that's an experience. Like, us as writers, we live off our experiences. You know, our experiences shape our writing. And you got to see people fucking in person. And you didn't get arrested. Like, shit, man. You're the fucking king.
Yeah. I don't know if many people actually know that story, but I'll do it real quick. Yeah. The first thing I ever wrote for Bleeding Cool wasn't as a job. I mean, basically, Rich Johnson reached out to me, said that one of the sets of one of the superhero porn parodies wanted to have somebody from Bleeding Cool go out and visit and interview some of the actresses and stuff. It was the Supergirl parody, and he wouldn't be able to come out, being in LA. So I'm like, hey, can you swing by and check it out? And I ended up not being able to make the press day. I ended up making a different day. So where everything was staged for the press, I walked in, it was full on group scenes, and it was just wild. But it was also it changes your outlook on the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very clinical and very fake.
Right.
And by the way, if you're listening to a large group scene, but you're around the corner, not actually watching it, it sounds like a cross between a swarm of bees and a zombie invasion. It's just very odd.
Oh, that's fucking wonderful. Dude, that's why I love that you're a writer, because only a writer could explain it that succinctly, man.
Yeah, it was an interesting day. It really was.
Wasn't your hair blue?
For a little while.
Yeah, okay. I was like, dude, where's the blue hair?
I did that last summer, and then while I was doing it, my dad got sick and then passed, and just didn't feel like doing the blue anymore.
Right,
you know?
Right.
So, though you've had the blonde ever since I did the blue streak all those years ago.
Oh yeah, I'll never get rid of it, dude. I every once in a while I'm like, oh dude, I can't look at myself anymore, and I'll dye it black, and I'll live with it for 3 months, and then I'm like, fuck this shit. I gotta stay natural. People don't know this. This is my natural hair color, not this. Yeah. This is all dyed. I dye this black every day. My pubic hairs are actually blonde too. If this wasn't YouTube, I'd show you.
Yeah, I've heard. Pat has told me.
Yeah, I actually shaped them. If for those out there who ever get a chance to see my pubic region, the hair is actually cut in the shape of Pat Chan's face. So I don't get to have sex very often, but when I do, not only am I fucking you, but Pat Chan's face is too.
But is it Pat with beard or Pat clean shaven?
No, it's Pat clean shaven, man. I'm a gentleman, man. I'm not a fucking savage. Holy shit.
Hey, I mean, you just had to check, you know?
Yeah, so, of course. Look at this. Look at this. This is just a tickle. Again, I don't get a lot of action. Like, I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm more mature in my ways now. 13 days sober for you alcoholics out there. But, yeah, in case a girl wants this giant massive blob on top of her, I trim it nice and low just in case, because I don't want to tickle too much, you know?
I think I've gone the other route. Gotta tell you.
I think that not only does your mouth do some of the job, your beard finishes it off. Like, you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna let the beard do the work today. Give it a little shake. I told you this was going to be a crazy fucking podcast, man. Like, I posted this on Facebook as well. I'm never doing a podcast ever again where I plug my work, because I just want to like, for a while there, Dan, I had a friend of mine, a very prominent writer. I'm not going to say his name. Had a best-selling fucking book over at Image. So now you guys can narrow it down. He had a really nice career. He's still publishing. He's got to work on some of the biggest books at DC. And he tells me he had a bad experience with publishing. Mm-hmm. A publisher said they were going to publish a series, and they stopped it at issue 5. And it kind of broke his heart. And he was like, man, I'm kind of thinking of retiring from comics. And then a couple months after he told me that story, you know, I'm telling him, no, man, you got to stick with it. It's okay, blah, 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 all that hurrah shit. A couple months later, I sat there and I started realizing that all the passion I had for comics was kind of dissipating. Like that love, that rush, that passion you feel when you finish a script, you see it on the stands, it starts coming to life. All of that shit disappeared. And then all of a sudden, I had this epiphany. I'm like, if I do anything from now on, I'm just doing it for fun. Like, I'll get paid and it'll still be work and I'll still be professional, but I'm going to have fucking fun. And as soon as I did that, I called my friend Nihai, one of my closest friends in the world. And I was like, dude, do you know how fucking cool it is that we get to make comics? We get to sit in our homes, write a story, and people get to escape into this world that we create. And it comes from nothing. It's just us thinking and putting it down. And I'm like, dude, imagine telling your 10-year-old self this, that one day you're going to grow up and you're going to fucking make comic books for a living. I'm like, this is so cool. And I started being able to appreciate storytelling and writing and all the little shenanigans that come with it. Like now there's a much better appreciation for the art form than when I was kind of like, all right, this is what I'm good at. I'm a writer. I can do this.
Yeah.
But is that really the reason you do something? You know, just because you're good at it and you've done it for a long time?
Well,
that didn't make to me.
That's the thing, is that you spend so much time trying to break into the industry, and then you spend the rest of the time trying to stay in the industry.
Yes.
You know, you don't actually get to enjoy the success because you're hustling for the next job.
Yeah.
You know,
and again, like David Wohl said something to me that still resonates with me to this day. Not to keep giving David Wohl a bunch of shout outs like I want a job at Zenescope, because there's only one guy right, Wonderland. But he said to me he had taken a break from comic books for like 3-4 years, and he was getting back into it. And he made I don't know if it was a Facebook post or if we were chatting back and forth, but he's like, if you're gone for more than a couple years, the industry forgets you. Like, everyone forgets you except your real fans and maybe your Facebook following. They're like, he disappeared. You know, me even going to the comic book shop every once in a while, I'll see a Dale Keown cover and I'm like, what the fuck? Dale's back? Yeah. This is awesome. Hell yeah. You know, but I was like, dude, I thought Dale was gone. You know?
Brandon Peterson doing the Flash right now. I didn't know
he's on the Flash?
Yeah.
Holy shit. See what I mean? Dude, I love Brandon. Is he doing everything or just the pencil?
He's doing the interiors.
Oh my God, that book's gonna be amazing. See, that's what I mean. Like, I miss feeling that. There was a purity in, I mean, I don't know if you collected comic books as a kid.
Oh yeah.
But all of those stories were just so like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens in X-Men next month. Oh my God. They're wiping out all the X-Men. The X-Men are all dying. Holy shit. Oh my God. Apocalypse took over. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Blackest Night. I want that fucking oh my God feeling. And I finally started getting it back. Well, it took a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to do something similar. And that's when I started doing more prose work. I spent a year just writing prose novels for Dynamite and
Yeah.
stepping away from the comic stuff. And it's still storytelling, so you still get that itch, or
Yeah.
you scratch that itch. But there was such a difference being able to, I just sit down, I write the book beginning to end. It's all me. I don't have to worry about anything else. But you miss that collaborative process. You miss that having the new book come out, all that stuff, that you get with a comic. There is something really unique about this industry.
Yeah.
And, I've been wanting to be in the industry since I was 11. I walked into a convention, I met Jack Kirby, and, he was the greatest guy ever. And I walked out of there going, I'm going to be in the comic industry.
Yeah.
But you do lose that drive after a while because it is a business and there's so much negativity and what, just having a book on the shelf isn't a success anymore, because you have to have it, does it keep going? We got Sinbad up to like 11 issues, 12 issues.
12.
And that may be the longest run I had on any comic. But, that's not long. You had much longer with Wonderland. But, people probably look now going, well, what are you doing now?
Yeah.
It's
everybody knows me for Wonderland. The funny thing about Wonderland that I don't know if most people know, and this is an exclusive to you. First time I've ever told this story. So I wrote Return, loved the experience. Wrote Beyond, loved the experience. Beyond is still my favorite. Wrote Escape, trilogy is done. But fuck, Wonderland makes so much money. Eventually, years later, nobody wanted to touch it because it was special. We had did Tales, we had did these occasional one-shots, but we were like waiting. And then finally a story came along and we were like, okay, we're going to do the ongoing. So writing an ongoing, as you well know, is way different than writing a mini series. It's infinitely harder if you don't plan it out. And I did not plan it out. So I got to, I think around issue 21. And Dan, I swear to God, I was flailing. I was like, wow, all over the place. I had no fucking idea what to do. I didn't know where to go with the story. I didn't want to be that guy that rehashed and brought back Magneto just because you needed to bring back Magneto. If you brought back Magneto, you wanted it to be organic. And I was just like, Pat was with me. He was working on some of the stories and I was having a bunch of personal shit happen. So eventually I got pulled off the book. Mm-hmm. And that's my story of how fucking hard it is to write an ongoing. And you did this shit flawless with Sinbad. Like, man, it and the fact that, holy shit, dude, I can't believe you fucking wrote a novel. Like, that's, I mean, as much as I love comics, to be able to at least say that, hey, I did all the heavy lifting, because a novel, it's all you. It's you and maybe your copy editor. Just because your copy editor is making sure your pants are zipped up and you don't have your shoes on backwards. That's what he does. But it's important. Yep. Anybody worth their salt knows how good editors are. But I mean, dude, you fucking did it repeatedly. Like, that's huge, man. Congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you. And I agree I have an editor I work with named Salome Jones, who happened onto her one night just hanging out on Twitter. She has edited all my novels, and I don't know if I could write a book without her. She's that important to the process,
Oh, yeah. An editor, a good editor makes you a million times better. I swear. Because one of the biggest, I think, personally, I mean, I understand the industry now, but I think one of the hugest drawbacks in creating comics is that writers don't normally get time to sit on a story. Like, you can't wait 3-4 months and then read it again with clean eyes,
right? And
be able to see, beyond the rose-colored tinted glasses. But an editor, a good editor, kind of sees it for you and says, hey, this is where you could really shine. Play this up. et cetera, et cetera. Like Irresistible, if Ralph hadn't edited that book, you guys would have read my first novel because it was so wordy. I let the characters talk, Dan, like Tarantino talk. Like Tarantino wrote a comic book and they were like, use all the words. That's how talkative the characters got. But Ralph was like, dude, cut it out. I was like, oh, all right, man, you're right. That's out of control.
Yeah.
You know, I can't cover all the art with words. It doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, I think having that time with a project, I did a book a couple years back called The Freeze over at Top Cow. And that was something I had actually been working on for about 10 years. Mm-hmm. You know, I pitched that to back when Christian Bernick and Zappa were set up over at Disney.
Oh, yeah, man.
I pitched that story to them. And it just sat in files and files. And one day, Matt Hawkins said, hey, pitch me something. And I threw this at him. He greenlit it. And then I got to sit down and write it with 10 years of having that story pop through my head and really kind of make it click. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I think it's kind of like a band. You know how they put that first album out and it's always, it's what they've been doing their whole life. They've been working on refining, and then album 2 comes out and it's like, well, you got 6 months to put an album out. What?
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Plus the first album's always so fresh. It's always them, like the purity of them. But speaking of Matt Hawkins, who, by the way, has been a fountain of fucking information for me over the last 20 years of my career. Yeah. Every time he talks, like I've seen him give his class at shows before and I've sat in on him, but every time he speaks, he always says something that kind of opens your eyes a little bit more. And you're like, you know, I didn't look at it that way. Yeah, that's interesting. But speaking of him, what editor have you worked with in the industry who is your favorite and why?
Matt would be high up there for me, but I've actually co-written with Matt. We did a book together and I learned a lot from the way he works. Yeah. You know, just like I learned a lot working with Steve Niles. You know, when you get an opportunity to co-write with somebody, you're also picking up their style a little bit, and vice versa.
You get the rub a little. Yeah.
Yeah. Early on, I worked with a guy named Paul Benjamin over at Humanoids, some of the first work I ever did. And he was probably the hardest on me. I mean, just came back with a lot of stuff like, you know, I know you're going this way with this idea, but what if you went this way instead? And, you know, and you appreciate it when you come across an editor that you feel like is specifically just trying to make your story better.
Right.
I've come across some that are closet writers, and what they want to do is tell the story how they would tell it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean worse or better. It just means different. In which case, well, you should have hired yourself, but you hired me, so you should, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've gotten to that place right now. It took a really long time, and me and Pat have actually had conversations about this in the past. But as a young writer, or younger writer, there's this really fucked up thing about just not being able to kill your babies. You know, and whenever a change comes across, you're so married to the idea, it fucking kind of hurts. It's like, you know, and over the years you learn what to fight for and what to just let go. But as I matured as a writer, I kind of came to realize if it's not my story, I can tell them my point of view on a note, but at the end of the day, it's their house. They're right. I'm not going to tell somebody how to paint their house. I can give them suggestions, but ultimately it's their choice. So like I was saying, like Pat was telling me, it's like you get to this place where you're like, okay, I do my stuff and that's my freedom. And then I'll work for other people that I have fun for working for and hopefully have the freedom. But if they're hiring me for a gig, I'm doing this for them, you know?
Yeah.
It's their picture. I'm just painting it.
Yeah, I think even at Zenescope, it was like that, depending on the project. With Sinbad, I had pretty much free reign.
Yeah.
With the two Wonderland series I did, you and I worked out the plots on that. And
Yeah.
once you were good with it, no one really said boo about it,
Yeah.
But when I would do like an individual issue, like a fill in over here or over there, then it became much more hands on, because they had a specific thing they wanted.
You know what's fucking wild? That I get to have this conversation, this part coming up right now, this particular conversation. Have you ever heard a writer talk about a long run they did? Like a long run on a series?
Yeah.
Well, I have no idea where I was going with that story. So we're going to go back to you, Dan. Hey, it's legal in Arizona. I got a prescription. And I got to go work out after this. So for you guys to think that I'm just sitting here writing, I jog every day because I'm trying to get skinny as shit. Because I need to have more sex in my life. It's been years, man. It's been fucking years.
Kyle put on there that says, has he lost weight? So.
Oh, yeah, I know, man. That's dope. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have lost weight. I've lost 70 pounds. I let him. I'm on that chocolate heroin diet.
Oh,
yeah. You just shoot a bunch of heroin, just eat nothing but chocolate. You'll lose the weight. But no, seriously, I had my stomach cut open. I had that fancy operation that all the cool kids are having.
Gastric bypass.
Yeah, and lost 70 pounds. And dude, it feels great. I'm not saying it gets bigger, but it looks a lot bigger, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, the trees look bigger when you trim the hedges around it. And
so much bigger. Like, dude, it's such a beautiful little oak. Such a beautiful oak tree. Has with flowers and everything. It's beautiful.
With the Pat Shan landscaping, yeah.
Oh, yes. Can't forget, Pat Shan hanging out at the bottom of the oak.
I'm kind of wondering what producer Kyle's thinking right now as he's listening to this show.
All I know is I really hope that Pat Shan is taking a drink of some milk when he hears this and he just spits up all over his computer. And I'm like, there we go. Got rid of one more writer. No more competition.
That's your goal, right? Just to knock the writers off.
Yeah, dude. Like
murder by death scenario.
Pat thinks I'm like one of his closest friends, but no, I'm secretly just trying to get closer and closer so I can take the Hobbit out. I'm like fucking Golem.
My precious.
Yeah, man. Because he's back at Zenescope now. By the way, congratulations, Pat. It's been a while. It's good to see you back home.
What's he doing? What's he doing over there?
I think he's doing Helsing. He's doing Helsing versus the Invisible Woman. And the covers look amazing. And if I know Pat, he's going to tell a great story.
Yeah, that came out, about a week or so back?
Yeah, I think like a week or two ago.
Yeah. I've gotten a chance to talk to Dave Franchini lately, which was interesting because I remember Dave is the guy that would ship out everything.
Holy shit, Dave is the publisher of Zenescope now.
I know.
He was the little sales guy.
He was the intern, yeah.
Dude, hey, a lesson to all you people out there who want to get into the industry. Dave went from sales to writing to editing to being the publisher of one of the top independent companies in the world in comics. Mm-hmm. That's insane, man. Congratulations, Dave Franchini. It's good to see good things happen to good people. Now, give me some Wonderland money. I mean, give me a job. Let me just see, dude. That's another thing. They like. I don't know if this is gonna fuck up my chance of getting a job there, but they won't let me write Wonderland yet because a couple years have to pass because we never want to oversaturate Wonderland. So I've been sitting on this Wonderland idea for years, and I keep fucking bothering them with it. I'm like, come on, now's the time. Come on, now's the time. Come on, now's the time.
You sound like me every time I talk to Dave going, so can we bring Sinbad back yet?
Where's Sinbad? My God. Dude, that's what we're going to do. We are going to pitch a Sinbad Wonderland story, and we are going to find a way to bring Sinbad back. You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks.
Sinbad in Wonderland.
Sinbad is going to Wonderland, and that's not the weed talking. I'm serious, Dan. After this is over, holla at me. It'll take me a week to get back to you, but we're gonna make this shit happen. It's gonna be the coolest little one shot, and Potts is gonna be in it because I miss Potts so much.
Yep. And I never got to do the big reveal with Potts.
Yeah,
you know what it is, and I know what it is, but all these people out there that read Sinbad and everything, they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You know, why he never spoke, you know?
Yeah.
So what are you working on, man? I mean, you're trying to get in with you've got this thing going with Nei, right?
Oh shit. Okay. So exception. This is the one time I'm going to plug something that I'm working on, because this not that I don't care about the other shit, but this particular project holds a very special place in my heart. About 10 years ago, actually, me and Nei decided to Nei created this story. She used to jog all the time, and she used to always see the crows lined up. She came up with this beautiful story called Secret Life of Crows. And she was cool enough to let me write it. And I was like, really, really out there in the cosmos, if you know what I mean. Yeah. At that particular time, I have no recollection of writing it, but the stuff that came out of my brain and came onto the page was like, do you remember when you used to write poetry in high school like a dork? Yeah. You'd write some beautiful freaking poetry, but if you read it now, you'd be like, that's gross. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. What the fuck is wrong with you? Ugh. I wrote like that, but with the knowledge of myself today, and it came out. It is by far, without a shadow of a doubt, my favorite work. Like, I know as a writer, you can't pick what you're known for. Right. Like, everybody knows me for fucking Wonderland or The Gift. Like, Gift was my first book. Wonderland was the most popular. And Wonderland is, by the way, you know, I have the same birthday as Charles Dodson, Lewis Carroll.
I did not know that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Same birthday. It was crazy. I picked up my this not birth certificate, but a thing that lists all the notable events that happen on your birthday. And I'm going down the list, and I'm like, what the fuck? Lewis Carroll was born on the same day as me. I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. It's wild.
Yeah, I don't have any fun like that. I have the exact same birth date, as in day and year, as Andre Agassi and Uma Thurman.
Oh shit.
I don't know what that means, other than it might be the weirdest threesome ever, but
dude, it means that you could play tennis wearing a full yellow bodysuit and it would make sense.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to see it, but
I want to see it. I definitely want to see it. I think as a part of making sure Sinbad comes to Wonderland, we need to make that YouTube video happen. That's the fucking video right there. I'll even bring a boombox from the 80s and play the Kill Bill music. Dun, dun, dun. Serve.
Nice. Keeping the sword, the racket on my back like a sword. You know.
Oh man! Look, see, we're already collaborating. We're already in the same place, man. This is great.
Yeah. Oh man! So, if you could revisit, I mean, you want to do another Wonderland story, but is there some place, some spot in the previous Wonderland stuff that you're like, I could have done that better? This one stretch, this part, I look back at it now, and that I could have done a little better.
It's funny that you say that, because I'm actually about to. I've been planning this for the last month or two, but I'm actually about to start a read-through of the whole Wonderland series, because I haven't read any of my books in probably the past decade.
Yeah.
Like once I edit a book, once I give the script a polish and polish the letters, maybe I'll read it if it's on the stands. Like I have Dragon Clan. I still haven't read that book. Like once I write a story now, I just like in the beginning, I would read it over and over and over. And I would like, then a couple years later, I'd read it again and I'd pick up all the little things that I could have done better stylistically and format wise. Like I hate the word just and only. Just, only, and really. I hate those fucking words. They're the worst words. And very. For those who experience President Trump's very, very, really, really big.
Yeah.
I hate those freaking words. So when I see those words nowadays, like as soon as I see them, I erase them. So that's like shit that I learned. But after Wonderland, I think I stopped rereading my stuff. So there's nothing I could sit there and say I wish I did. Everything that happened in Wonderland happened pretty perfectly in my estimate, just because we never really had to make sense. Like Wonderland wasn't supposed to make sense. That was the whole entire point of the series.
Oh yeah.
Besides, the tragedy of this dysfunctional family trying to keep itself together no matter what. But I mean, yeah, that was what was really cool about Wonderland. But yeah, I've never, but I'm about to do a read through and I'm excited because it's going to be like reading somebody I've never read before. And at the same time, it's reading myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I remember that. Like, I can't wait to get to that line, Dan, that you read and you're like, damn, that was a good line. And you're thanking yourself. You're like saying, damn, good job, you. But you're also not, because you're like, this doesn't even sound like this is fucking good. I should use this again. It's been long enough. It's been 20 years. Let's make them turn the comic book around in a circle again.
Have you ever had your work read or performed?
Oh, yeah, it's disgusting. I hate it. It's the worst fucking, oh my gosh. There's something about hearing somebody read your words.
Yeah.
And especially the only people that read my words have been freaking naked girls, because we had a signing. Were you at the signing?
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. Meltdown. We had a bunch of naked girls. They set up this naked reading thing where a burlesque troupe of beautiful ladies came in and read our story. Yeah. And the most beautiful memory I have of that day, Dan, is, do you remember how everybody was seated around the girls like it was story time back in kindergarten, but they're all fucking adults? And there's a naked girl. Like, it was so surreal, yet so...
Yeah, they had them all in a circle over here. And then you and I and Nei and Blonde were all on that little strip of a countertop signing in the back area.
Yeah, and I kept trying to play with Blonde's nipples because he had the tiniest fucking nipples on the planet. Like it was insane. But yeah, man, that was crazy. That was wild. But every time they'd read my words, I was like, stop it. Oh God. There's you have to have a real pure skill to write dialogue that's meant to be read out loud, that's meant to be spoken.
Yeah.
Because just the way the human mind reads something is completely different from the way we speak with our cadence and our little mannerisms.
Do you speak your lines out after you've written them?
When I first started, I did. After that, I was just like, fuck this shit.
See, I had kind of an opposite experience. I did, years ago when I first started, I did a short story for Metal Hurlant, the Humanoids magazine. Mm-hmm. And they took some of those and turned them into a TV series. And when it happened, the director got a hold of me and said, do you still have the original script for the story we're going to do? And I said, well, yeah, but it's only 8 pages and you're doing like a 20 some. I think we need to fill. Do you want help with that? Well, I ended up writing the script for the episode.
Mm-hmm. So
it got performed, and it got performed by James Marsters and Michelle, can't think of her name now. She was the Bionic Woman in the reboot.
Okay.
Yeah, but to hear James Marsters, Spike from Buffy, delivering these lines, I kept stopping the recording, pulling up my script, going, "No, I didn't actually write that because that sounded good." And I know I couldn't write that.
Yeah,
But
there it is.
trying to find the actual line, like, how did he make it better? You know, and he didn't change anything, and I appreciate that. But it's a very surreal experience to hear when somebody really good is performing the words, because it's like, wait, maybe I'm a writer. Hang on, you know.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So the only two people that have ever read my work were the Naked Girls and freaking dickheads. Like your friends that are being dicks to you, that are reading you your story, and they're exaggerating words. They're like, and enter into the room. Dan Wickline sits down at his computer like the king that he is, hair billowing in the wind. And they talk to you like fucking dickheads. But it's funny as shit because you're like, you motherfuckers. Now I look at my work differently. Bastards. Let me write this again. those it's funny as shit, but it's true. Those are the only people. Nobody serious has ever read my work out loud. I'm gonna see if I could have such good sex with somebody, like just give them the real good stuff, the stuff they'd write home about. Like nobody even writes anymore, but they'd write home about getting that good shit. But I want to give it to them so good that I can actually get them to read me my own comic book while we're having sex. Because if I could still have sex and hear my own words being read to me, I know that's a good comic book.
That's an interesting test, and good luck finding an editor who will help you with that. But
oh my god, yeah, dude, imagine that. I'm like, call Pat. Pat, I need you to listen to me have sex right now. I'm gonna put the phone on speaker. You're gonna hear somebody reading my work, so you might hear some grunts, and then you're gonna hear a lot of back and forth dialogue.
Yes,
it's gonna be a lot. Just go with it. That's and right. She's gonna change voices during the act. She's gonna like, hey, there's Raven Gregory. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, totally. It's gonna be fun, Pat. Just listen up. Get Amy, so she can sit next to you and hear me fuck.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. And that's like, dude, that would be a wonderful editorial experience.
Well, I think he probably appreciates that it was a call and not a Zoom call.
Yeah, yeah. He wouldn't like that.
No,
I've seen myself on my own computer. It's not pretty. Like, this is pretty. I'm starting to love myself, but fucking every once in a while I get tempted to make that OnlyFans page, but you guys keep buying my comics, so you keep my dick off the internet. Thank you. I love you.
All right, so what and I hate to use this line after what you just said, but what's the hidden gem? What's the Raven Gregory story that not enough people know about? I mean, you got The Gift, you've got Wonderland, but you've also got Fly, you've got a few other books. What is the series right now that people should go? I should go back and check out.
Oh, well, The Secret Life of Crows, man. I mean, dude, if you can find it, it's near impossible to find because the print one was very small. It was released independently. We didn't even NEI didn't even put it out in comic book stores. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if my publishing company gets off the ground next year, I'll be launching it through Broken Butterfly Comics. We'll have to see. But I really hope that I can get that book. We're going to do a Kickstarter for it next year. I would really love for Secret Life of Crows to be in as many hands as possible, just because it's not like any comic book I've ever written. It's not like any comic book I ever read. It's this beautiful mixture of poetry, prose, and the most gorgeous, heartfelt art. Like NEI went someplace. Whenever we talk about that story, neither me or NEI remember doing it. Like it came completely from that perfect special ether that every once in a while, us as creators and writers, you get to touch the sun for just like one brief second, like you got it right there. And you know it. Not everyone will share that same view. Like to this day, people are like, they love The Gift. I read The Gift and I'm like, it was good, but there's some writing style in there that I'm just like, he was so young. Like, why are you doing this? But yeah, it would definitely be Secret Life of Crows. After that, I would think I don't know, man. I have a lot of fans, and my book has ended up in a lot of people's hands, and each story is so personal. It's like I don't want to say it's like choosing which kid is your favorite, but it's like which arm do I like the best? Which hand do I like the best? Which foot do I like the best? It's all kind of the same thing to me. I mean, I've been very blessed and very lucky in the career that I've had the exposure, mostly due to Zenescope, because as an independent, when you release those books, you're only reaching the independent crowd. You're lucky if you get a mainstream fan, just because they mainstream fans really get set in, I only read DC, or I only read Marvel, or I only follow this writer, or I only follow this artist. Like if Jim Lee puts out a book, I don't care who's writing it, I'm going to pick it up.
Right.
If Tom Taylor puts out freaking My Little Pony, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick up a My Little Pony comic. And then stories, But yeah, there's just Secret Life of Crows, just because so few people are aware of that book. It's very hard. It's very hard to find. So I don't know if Nei has it available digitally through her website, but if you get a chance, you guys should definitely check that story out. I'm very proud of it. And it's funny, Dan, you ever have people come up to you and they tell you what story that you wrote that they really love, and you can see in their eyes they fucking loved it? Isn't it weird how there's like 9 times out of 10, it's not your favorite story?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people coming up about the first Grimm fairy tales I did, the Three Blind Mice.
Yeah.
With creepy grandma taking the eyes at the end.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that your favorite? What has happened in your life that this is the one you went, this is my favorite work? Just,
well, dude,
God bless them. But
no, it's crazy because every once in a while, it doesn't happen often. It rarely happens, but every once in a while, the thought pops in my head. If you love Wonderland, you are really fucked up. You're like me. You fucking get it. Holy shit. Yes.
Oh, dude, I got a whole different level of fandom when I started doing like the tangential stuff, doing the Wonderland annuals and then the 2 Wonderland spinoffs. I got a lot of interesting fans who came by who weren't my normal fan base, because I don't normally go into that. I'm more of a mystery writer and sci-fi stuff. Getting more into the insanity of Wonderland was an interesting trip, and met a lot of interesting people.
Yeah, it's such a fun story to write. Every time you write it, it's because there are constraints in normal storytelling. There are rules you always have to kind of follow, and you can bend, but you really can't break them, especially if you're working for a publisher. But with Wonderland, it was so freeing that if anything happens, you can always fall back on. It doesn't have to make sense. It's fucking Wonderland. The whole entire purpose is it wasn't supposed to make sense. It was a dream world. So we got a lot of room to play.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. I'm going to have to wrap it up there, my friend. It has been a blast. Justin Kleinman says that he loved Irresistible.
Arizona Organics. That's where your favorite writer gets all his weed from.
All right, man. It is good catching up with you. It's been far too long. Hopefully we'll...
too, man.
Yeah,
hopefully we get to see each other soon. I mean, I'm never doing a convention again, but hopefully our paths do cross.
Yeah, I'm probably going to find my way out to Phoenix or to the Arizona area. Maybe we can catch up.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, go out and sing karaoke.
Yeah, that would be a blast.
Yeah, we'll just let Cara do the singing, and you and I can watch.
Oh, that's great. I remember, we used to hang out with Cara all the time. What's up, Cara? Shout out to Cara Nicole, Power Girl.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Raven, thank you for joining us. Stick around, folks. We got Black Comic Universe coming up next. And then I'll be back tonight at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for in-stores this week, where it will be myself, Kyle, plus Jen and Minute to Skim It crew as we kind of combine the shows tonight for a special. So everybody have a good night, and we'll see you soon.